Picture this. You step onto the aircraft, the cool rush of conditioned air hits your face, the flight attendants greet you with a smile, and passengers shuffle down the narrow aisle trying to find their seats. Most people, at this exact moment, are distracted. They're scrolling their phones, wrestling with their bags, or already stressed about overhead space. But here's the thing. The smartest passengers, the ones who always seem calm, comfortable, and prepared, are doing something different. They have a routine, 11 simple, deliberate steps that set the tone for their entire journey. And in this video, we're going to reveal exactly what those steps are, from hidden health tricks and time-saving hacks, to safety practices that could one day save your life. Stick with me until the end, because number 11 is the one even frequent flyers often overlook, yet it can make the biggest difference when it matters most. This is Journey Genius, and here are the 11 things every smart airline passenger does immediately after boarding the plane. The very first thing a smart passenger does is something most people are too embarrassed, too tired, or too distracted to bother with: sanitizing their seat area. And no, this isn't being paranoid. Multiple scientific studies, including a famous one by the University of Arizona, found that airplane tray tables carry 8 times more bacteria than the average public toilet seat. Think about that for a second. The reason? Planes have extremely short turnaround times. The crew focuses on restocking, safety checks, and general cleaning, but they don't have time to scrub down every touch surface between flights. That's why smart passengers bring a small pack of disinfectant wipes and use them before sitting down. Here's the checklist: tray tabletop and latch, armrests and recline buttons, seatbelt buckle, touchscreen and remote controls, window shade and air vent dial. Smart travelers wipe before sitting. It's quicker, less awkward, and ensures you're not leaning over other people later. And here's a bonus tip. Once you've wiped everything down, keep a wipe in your hand while adjusting your overhead air vent. It's one of the dirtiest parts of the cabin. This small ritual takes less than a minute, but reduces your exposure to germs dramatically. And here's the genius part. It also signals to your seatmates that you're a considerate, organized traveler. Trust me, they'll silently respect you for it. Next, every smart traveler adjusts their overhead air vent, and they do it strategically. Why does this matter? Because the air you breathe on a plane is a mix of recycled and fresh filtered air. The overhead vent, known as the gaspers, can actually protect you from airborne germs if used correctly. Here's how. Set it to medium flow. Angle it slightly in front of your face, not directly on your skin. This creates an invisible air curtain that pushes away floating particles, including bacteria and viruses. Harvard researchers have pointed out that airflow is one of the most underused personal defenses on a plane. Yet, many passengers either shut it off completely because they think it feels cold, or blast it directly onto themselves, which dries out the skin and eyes. The smart move is balance. Keep air circulating around you without discomfort. And one more tip, adjust it before the cabin fills up. It's much easier to do it while standing and before your row mates settle in, instead of awkwardly reaching across later. This next habit might seem old-fashioned, but it's one of the most important. Smart passengers always check the safety card and identify the nearest exit every single time they fly. You might be thinking, I've heard the safety briefing 100 times, I know it already. But here's the truth, every aircraft is different. Exit locations, door mechanisms, even the brace position can vary slightly depending on the plane. The Federal Aviation Administration reports that in emergencies, passengers have just 90 seconds to evacuate. 90 seconds. And in those moments, every second counts. Smart travelers count the rows between their seat and the nearest 2 exits. That way, if smoke fills the cabin and visibility drops, they can reach safety by touch alone. Need proof of why this matters? Consider Air France Flight 358 in 2005. The plane skidded off the runway in Toronto and caught fire. Passengers who had mentally rehearsed their exit path were able to evacuate quickly, while others froze in panic. It's a simple 10-second habit that could one day save your life. That's why smart passengers never skip it. Now let's talk about one of the biggest stress points during boarding: overhead bins. Most passengers shove their bags sideways, take up extra space, and slow down everyone else. But smart travelers know the art of efficient luggage storage. Here's how it's done. Place rolling bags wheels. First into the overhead bin. It saves space. If you have a backpack, slide it under the seat in front of you instead of wasting overhead room. Keep a small essentials pouch with headphones, sanitizer, snacks, and a power bank, ready to slip into the seat back pocket so you don't have to rummage mid-flight. And here's a clever hack. Place your bag on the side of the bin opposite your seat. That way, when you stand up at landing, you can pull it out without fighting the crowd in your row. Smart passengers also respect the golden rule. Don't use overhead space in rows you're not sitting in. Nothing annoys flight attendants more than that. A few seconds of strategic thinking makes boarding smoother for everyone. The next habit separates seasoned travelers from casual flyers, securing valuables and prepping for comfort before the plane even takes off. Smart passengers know that the seatback pocket is a black hole. Items slide deep inside, get crushed, or worse, forgotten when you deplane. So never place your passport, wallet, or phone there. Instead, keep them zipped in a secure bag within arm's reach. If you're planning to nap, set yourself up before takeoff. Pull out your eye mask, neck pillow, or noise-canceling headphones. That way, you're not disturbing seatmates later by reaching for overhead bins in the dark. And here's a pro tip. Keep a pen handy in your pocket if you're on an international flight. You'll often need it for immigration forms, and you'll look like a genius when everyone else is begging the flight attendants for one. The cabin environment is extremely dry, often drier than the Sahara Desert. Humidity levels drop to around 10 to 20%, and that dehydrates your body faster than you realize. Smart passengers sip water immediately after boarding. Not soda, not coffee, not alcohol, just plain water. Alcohol and caffeine dehydrate you even more and mess with your sleep cycle. The best move is to drink steadily in small sips before and during the flight. And here's a genius hack. Bring an empty reusable water bottle through security and fill it up at a station before boarding. That way you're not relying on tiny plastic cups of water during service. Even better, add electrolyte tablets for longer flights. They help your body retain water more efficiently. Smart travelers know hydration is the secret to landing fresh instead of groggy. Once seated, pros immediately set up their personal space for maximum comfort. First, adjust the headrest wings to cradle your head. It prevents neck strain while napping. If your seat has no wings, roll up a scarf or small pillow for neck support. Next, tuck a pillow or rolled-up jacket behind your lower back. Airplane seats are notoriously bad for lumbar support, and this quick fix makes a huge difference. Smart travelers also select their in-flight entertainment early. Why? Because sometimes the system freezes or reboots later in the flight. Choosing your movie or playlist right away avoids that frustration. And here's an underrated trick. Test your seat recline gently before takeoff. That way, you know how much space you're working with and won't surprise the person behind you mid-flight. One of the smartest social moves in air travel is also the simplest. A polite introduction to your seatmates. This doesn't mean launching into a 2-hour conversation. It's just a friendly hello, maybe a smile, and a quick acknowledgement. It sets a positive tone and makes it easier to navigate shared space during the flight. For example, if you need to get up later, it feels less awkward to tap someone you've already greeted. And sometimes those small interactions lead to surprising opportunities. Business connections, new friendships, even romances have started on airplanes. The key is balance. Start with light conversation, then use body language, like putting on headphones, if you want quiet time. Smart passengers master this balance. Long-haul travelers know that jet lag is the real enemy. That's why they use circadian rhythm tricks as soon as they board. The first step, change your watch or phone clock to the destination's local time. This helps your brain start adjusting before you even take off. If it's nighttime at your destination, dim your screen, put on an eye mask, and act as if it's night already. If it's morning, keep yourself awake and alert with bright light exposure. Some frequent flyers even wear sunglasses on overnight flights to trick their body into thinking it's nighttime sooner. These small habits reduce the crash you feel after landing. Smart passengers take a moment to note 2 important things: where the nearest restrooms are and which flight attendants are covering their section. This matters more than you think. If nature calls in the middle of turbulence, Knowing the closest restroom saves you awkward walks down the aisle. And paying attention to crew positions helps you know who to ask for help when needed. Flight attendants appreciate passengers who are observant and respectful. Here's a subtle trick. If you need extra water, blankets, or help later, being polite and attentive at the beginning often earns you better service throughout the flight. And finally, the habit almost nobody talks about, but every smart traveler does: mentally rehearsing the emergency plan. It sounds intense, but it only takes 10 seconds. Check your seatbelt is secure, remind yourself where the exits are, and quickly picture how you'd move if you had to evacuate. Psychologists call this mental rehearsal, and studies show it dramatically improves reaction speed during emergencies. Take U.S. Airways Flight 1549, the Miracle on the Hudson. Passengers who had paid attention to safety instructions and mentally prepared evacuated faster, which made all the difference in those freezing waters. You may never need it, but if you do, those 10 seconds could be life-saving. So, there you have it. 11 small, deliberate habits that separate smart, seasoned travelers from the rest. They sanitize strategically, use air vents wisely, respect safety, and prepare their space before the plane even leaves the ground. Which of these habits do you already practice? And which will you try on your next flight? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your travel wisdom. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It helps more people discover Journey Genius and join our growing community of smart travelers. For more insider tips and fascinating travel insights, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Until next time, may your journeys be smooth, your seats comfortable, and your skies forever clear.